Paladins are easily one of the most popular classes in D&D, regardless of what edition it's from. We're going to be talking about their contributions to 5e, and we're going to be talking about the changes and their usefulness, and all around just give you the best tips in order to play a Paladin to the best of your ability. Let's start with the races that are available to you with the Paladin. The human variant is probably the best option because of its extra feat, and because of that alone, this kind of makes it the obvious choice. But there are other races that have their usefulness with the Paladin class. The Tiefling is another good one because Charisma is a primary stat that you should focus on with them, and you know, they're pretty good with that there. Dwarves are good for Vengeance, but it sacrifices Charisma, so unfortunately not as good as they should be. Dragonborn, you know, Charisma and Strength are great, but resistance to a damage type, that's the real reason you would play one. Half-Elves, bonus to Charisma. Wood Elves, they're great for Dex Paladins, probably great for a polearm master, but there's no plus to Charisma. And, you know, the Half-Orc is good for stacking with the Barbarian type of Paladin, but again, no Charisma. Let's give a special mention to the Yaunti Pureblood from Volo's Guide to Monsters. If you really, really want to avoid damage from magical effects, this is what you would play. Your damage is diminished a little bit, but I would say it's a good compromise in order to not take damage from, you know, the creatures that you'll primarily be facing in these types of campaigns. You know, Paladins typically bring magical creatures along with their quests. What sort of fighting style do you plan for your Paladin to have? Are you going to be a striker? Are you going to be a damage taker? Are you going to be a controller? Maybe you're better for, you know, crowds and everything like that. But either way, you want to discuss with your DM and you want to pre-plan this as much as possible. It's going to be very important. People are going to be looking to their Paladin, their fighter, and their cleric most of all when they're in the middle of a fight. So be sure to plan this as much as possible and look to your group and see what kinds of ways you could benefit. You know, if there's a bunch of people entering the fray, you might do better on the outside, throwing spells in and things like that. As far as what oath you pick for your Paladin, just keep in mind that you no longer have to be a lawful good character anymore, which gives you a lot more capabilities in terms of how you're going to play your character from a role-playing perspective. And if you read XANATHAR'S Guide to Everything, it'll give you even more options. Vengeance is a really good one for damage output. Once per short rest, you're going to be getting a double chance for crit, which that's just obviously useful. Ancients is good for fighting things like spellcasters, defensive tanks, and, you know, this is a good charisma over strength thing once again. Devotion is the archetypal paladin. If you've talked to anyone that's played a lot of classic D&D, this is typically what they will know a paladin to be. As far as what sort of background to choose for your paladin, I would definitely say that noble and artisan are the top choices. However, I would give the edge to artisan purely because it goes well with insight. Because of how versatile the Paladin class is, a lot of people choose to multi-class after a certain point. However, I would definitely say some are better than others. The Warlock is a good example since they have their slots back after a short rest, and their primary stat is Charisma, which is a very good coincidence. Also, Eldritch Blast. This can save you in a jam. Fighter is another popular one, mainly because of its bonus action heal, action surge, its double chance to crit, its battle master tactics. These are all just incredibly useful things that a fighter can obtain and bring to the paladin's capabilities. The sorcerer is good because hold person equals an automatic critical hit. Maybe great for a dex paladin, especially. A bard, that's a good way to make your character a lot more interesting to play, and it will spice up the group a lot more, that's for sure. There's a lot of great utility you can get out of making a Bardinin, as it's come to be called. However, in terms of putting out damage, you're going to find yourself at quite a loss. So this is a circumstantial multi-class kind of thing at best. The Barbarian is great and may seem like another obvious choice given how much damage you can take with this. You could smite while raging. Reckless attack gives you an advantage and resistance if you're not wearing any heavy armor. So you might lose some AC from that as a result, but this could definitely be another one if you want to be a damage taker or if you want to be someone in your party that, you know, is playing more of a big, like, you know, dumb and pompous kind of paladin as opposed to your noble and smart chivalrous one. Rogue is really useful if stacked with a Dex Paladin, especially if Assassin is used. Finally, the Druid is a great choice because since its animal form can be considered a melee attack, you can smite while you're in animal form. which is just so cool. So what would the best feats be for a paladin? This is probably the question I get asked about the class the most from players in my party. I would say that the polearm master is one of the most useful ones because you can use it to just keep baddies from escaping the fight. A lot of DMs will play their characters so that after a certain damage threshold, their enemies will try to flee the battlefield. Not if you have this one. It pairs very well with the Sentinel feat. These are both very great for any sort of Oath of Vengeance paladin that they're going to be playing. It's great with Relentless Avenger abilities. If you're going to be running a lot of concentration spells, I would say Warcaster is great. Vengeance paladins may also want to have this one. Resilient, after level 6, you'll be adding your Charisma and your Constitution to this, and it'll help you maintain concentration while you're tanking. Great Weapon Master, obviously don't forget to use your +5 to Devotion to help offset the -5 from this. I put the Shield Master up here reluctantly only because its shove ability is the main reason you get it. However, this was nerfed in a recent ruling, so it's not quite as useful as it once was. But if you're going to run, say, an Oath of Conquest Paladin, this could still be very useful. Inspiring Leader is really nice since you're going to be leading with Charisma. It's a nice buff for the party. Remember, you can use this multiple times if there's a large group as well. So this has multiple circumstantial uses. Paladin protection strategies. A Paladin's aura is one of the most useful protection features. It can have the bad effect, though, of causing a bunch of people to bunch up around you. However, it's important to keep in mind that death saving throws are still saving throws. So your proximity to another player could mean the difference between life and death. Oath of the Ancients really shines here as well because it gives everyone a plus to saving throws and resistance to spells, and that's just obviously useful. All paladins get a pool of healing. Unfortunately, it takes your action, so it's not extremely useful in combat. Perhaps outside of that, with other encounters, it'll be even more useful. Remember that this pool is limited, so that 1 HP might be all you need to get a party member back up to snuff. You should definitely save these because you can also use 5 hit points worth to remove a disease or a spell at a higher level. At 14th level, a paladin's ability to remove a spell on themselves or a willing creature will become extremely useful if you need to get a key fighter back into the fray. Combat. Oath of Vengeance is by far the biggest damage output for straight paladins. Add in a combination of Bless or Devotion, +5 to hit, and you're talking about a lot of damage. Utility. Divine Sense is useful for finding the bad guys, if they're hidden. Find Steed or Find Greater Steed. Do you know what they call a group of rhinoceros? A crash. With this spell, you can summon one. Also, Flight. Flight is huge. Think of anything that can fly and summon that. Griffins, depending on what your DM allows, flying crashes. Curse Disease I put on here because it's circumstantial, but it's very useful when it comes up. XANATHAR'S Guide to Everything updates. Oath of Conquest. While you don't technically need to be evil for this oath, it helps a lot. You're one step away from a health knight practically, and you emit an aura of terror that can freeze enemies in place like a deer caught in headlights. Grab this one when you make an evil paladin or you want to abuse the frightening aura ability, or if you want to try a really interesting anti-hero. Oath of Redemption is mainly for your pacifists kind of oaths. Not that you can't deal any damage while you're doing this, but all the abilities are geared towards solving things diplomatically and preventing violence. Think more Superman as opposed to Batman in this instance. In conclusion, the Paladin is easily one of the best classes in D&D 5e, and I can guarantee at just about any table you sit at for D&D, there will be 1 or 2 Paladins there. They're versatile, they have a lot of great abilities, they go well with multi-classing, and while there are certainly some restrictions you'll have if you play them with certain races and things like that, Paladins are easy to get immersed in, and one of the best things about them is that you don't have to play them like the old stereotypical Paladins from 1e and onward. You can actually just play them a little bit more morally complex, making them a little bit more, I would say, varied in the kind of Paladin you'll get throughout your adventure. I've been Patrick Ferguson with Skull Splitter Dice. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.